Hello, citizens.
We are going to be talking about a book trilogy called the Imperial Radch Trilogy.
And we're drinking some lovely Dragon Greenwell tea. So Caroline asked me to read this book.
Because my friend Jackie asked me to read this book.
Who's it by?
Anne Leckie. It's her debut novel.
Won a Hugo. Now a trilogy.
And Jackie asked me to read the book because she was like, well, it's just the intersection of all of your interests. And it really is. And it's sci-fi with strong female characters with a twist.
And tea.
And lots of tea.
So how would you describe, like, the basic concept, like, when you pitched it to me?
It's a space opera. It's a space story. And the dominant, I want to say, culture borrows a lot from the ideas of ancient Rome.
Sure.
So, like, the ideas that the Romans colonized a lot of places and then didn't really change them, but were still thought of themselves and their personal culture as superior and dominant. This is like that, and that culture in this book is called the Radch.
The protagonist of the book, though, is a spaceship.
Yeah, is an artificial intelligence that was in control of a spaceship.
And several bodies that were once alive.
Yeah, so the way that those work, they're called ancillaries, and they're like androids, except they are human bodies. The personality of which has been removed, or they died.
Yeah.
They've been reanimated, and the brain function has been replaced with an AI brain function.
Yeah, which is all, they're all seamlessly connected at all times.
Right, it's a hive mind.
Yeah.
So the ship
Justice
runs...
of Torin.
The ship, the Justice of Torin, runs her ancillaries, who are all just herself, copies of herself. And then she ends up alone in only one body. She loses her hive mind capability.
And at the beginning of the book, we don't know how.
Yeah.
And we kind of jump back and forth between her as this now singular being and her in the past as this multi-being, kind of.
And the other interesting thing about the Radchai is that they don't recognize gender in any way, which is odd because we've been calling the protagonist of the book a she and saying that it's full of these strong women. They choose the pronoun she to eliminate confusion, but...
that is their only personal pronoun.
So everyone in the book is really a she, even though they aren't.
She recognizes that other cultures and other species don't use this singular pronoun for all persons.
That they do have gender.
That they do have
sometimes.
gender. So she's often, we're in her mindset as she's trying to figure out the correct gender and not misgender people.
Which she does all the time,
Yeah.
because outward gender markings don't indicate, there's no way to indicate gender.
The book is very fluid about the characters and the way, there are very few characters that are ever described in a way that we would ascribe a specific gender to that person.
But they're just all referred to as she, so the way that we humans in the culture that we live in, like, that results in a reading of the book that feels like reading a book about a lot of women.
This led to a really interesting thing for me, which I called the Tolkien effect. In Lord of the Rings, there are like 3 or 4 female characters in the whole thing, and like the Ents don't know where the Entwives went, and we're not really sure how anyone reproduces. And so I just felt like Tolkien looked at this world and he just didn't think about women, unless in a couple of very specific circumstances. And so we're just sort of assuming that these wide swaths of people are male. And in this book, we're kind of assuming these wide swaths of people are female, but that's because that's the pronoun they use. It's very much clear that Breck understands that not everyone is on this singular gender train and is trying to figure it out, but can't.
And there are sometimes when she can figure it out, but the convention of the pronoun still exists. So one of the second main characters, who is discovered by Breck in the beginning of the first book, is described as being a Radchai who is male in our understanding of male, but because they don't have gender, it's a she. She's a she also.
People from other cultures gender the character as male, but she uses the pronoun of she because she is Radchai. The other way that this world building, just another facet of the way that it works, comes about with one of our favorite topics, tea.
it's a book about colonialization, about imperial oppression, and like what it takes to fight against that.
Exactly. But, so to get back to the tea,
the tea,
like they keep drinking this liquid that they describe as tea, and they're very snotty about what is and is not tea. Like in some places you can get tea, but it's not really tea, which I loved as a Douglas Adams reference.
Because they are so snooty about everything that is Radchite, which is very Roman. The idea of what is Roman and what isn't, and everything that's Roman is better than everything that isn't Roman. And citizens have a higher position, so Radchite always have a higher position in class structure. But tea is a big part of that because they really identify with their tea culture, their tea making process. It's just tied into class in that way.
It's clear that the tea kind of happens in a similar way in our world, but that it probably tastes radically differently. So every time they say she, at first I'm like, okay, this person looks like female to me, or this tea is going to taste like this kind of thing. And I have to stop myself and go, okay, wait, no, how does this person actually identify themselves? What does this tea actually taste like? It gets at the incapability of language to accurately translate things that don't have clear analogs. Coming from, I'm a huge Trekkie, but, everyone somehow magically speaks the same language, and everyone in the Star Wars universe speaks Basic. And this kind of level of basic language trying to communicate simple concepts is not something that I've seen explored that much in, widespread sci-fi, because it's very complicated to do.
Yeah,
but
we do have the movie Arrival, which sort of deals with it in a very limited, very micro, not micro stakes because it's the whole world, but in a very
one person, one room, kind of thing.
And that's really cool. And the differences of how a language is constructed, or how a culture informs a language, or a language informs a culture, because it's true even just on Earth, the different languages that people speak inform the way that their culture is.
Inform the way you're able to think.
Yeah.
Anyway, we highly recommend this book series. The first book is called Ancillary Justice
by Anne Leckie, and it's, if you like what we're about, this book series is gonna... All right.
Look, we can't give... Breck is an army.
Yeah.
Or was an army.
And not a spoiler alert, she gets an army back. So she's set. I mean, personally, I would elect her.
Yeah.
Because it's funny to think of an AI as being an electable, and putting an AI in position of power over human beings is a weird thing.
But an elected official is a public servant.
Yeah. Responsible to the people who elected them. So that seems like the ideal place for Breck to be. Also because she is just about as objective a being as it's possible to be.
I would love to read Lieutenant On's journals.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm interested. I'm interested in what she's about.
She's an interesting character.
Who gets the army?
Who gets the army? Oh,
there's so many armies.
There's so many armies in this book. Who gets the Earth army, though?
Let's give the Doctor an army.
Because why not?
Why not?
If we're gonna, damn it.
We don't want to spoil anything. Read the book. If you read it, if you have read it, if you're interested, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear about them. And if you like the video, subscribe, tell people if you think they might be into it.
Dink.
Next week, we're talking a little bit about Passengers and why it didn't do so well at the box office. Not to mention the fact that when men buy tickets to a movie, they have to sit with one seat in between each person. So that's a whole ticket that's not paid for.
That's so funny.